All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, Thursday Night Football edition. We're going to break down Thursday Night Football. We're going to build some lineups. We're going to do a couple lineups on DraftKings, a couple lineups on FanDuel, a couple of lineups on Yahoo, because that's what you guys are here for. So there's an industry secret. I don't know how big of a secret it is, but how to break down these Thursday Night Football games, how to win money is the big key. So keys of success are kind of what we're here for. If you are here for that as well, let us know. It's going to be a little bit of a concern. It's not the best Thursday Night Football game we've had. It's obviously not the same as we saw with Baltimore and Cincinnati. We have a lot of weather that we have to look at. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the breakdown of how to build lineups here. We're going to build some lineups, and then we're going to see if you guys enjoy that at all. So as always, these videos are sponsored by Outlier.bet. You can find the link down below. Sign up to Outlier.bet. Get a 7-day free trial. Whether or not you're breaking down games, whether or not you're breaking down props, that's what they're here for. So you can look at this here, and you can kind of see that it is Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. Pittsburgh being the moneyline favorite. They've won their last 5 games. Cleveland has won 2 of 10, 20%. The line right now is Pittsburgh minus 3.5. They have not covered that the last 3 games, or the last 2 games, but they've covered that 6 of the last 10 games, where Cleveland is plus 3.5. They've only covered that line 2 of the last 10 games. On top of that, there's an over-under of 36.5. It's a very low over-under. I don't know if you guys are even going to play this, but I wanted to break it down for you and hopefully help you become a better DFS player. So, Outlier.bet, make sure you check them out. So, breaking this down, we do have some weather. There's a rain and wind, 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, gusts of up to 20 miles an hour could spell disaster for your kickers as well. So that is definitely something. It's going to be cold. It's going to be kind of miserable for a game that, primetime game. But looking at the breakdown, now this is for DraftKings. This is using the information from 2023 till the first 11 weeks of the NFL season. But 84% of the winning lineups on DraftKings had at least one quarterback in their lineup. Only 6% of the winning lineups used all 50,000 salary. Only 16% of the lineups used a $200 or less player. I'm going to let you know right now, not a ton of 200 or less players that I like on this slate at all. So I'm probably not going that far down. 80% of the winning lineups since last year have used a player of $4,000 or less. So we get a little bit of, we got the Browns defense, Freiermuth that I love, Mike Williams, we like Van Jefferson. There's a Calvin Austin. There are a ton of plays that I think under 4K make a lot of sense, and we could definitely see them winning or being in a winning lineup in this matchup here. Average lineup salary, $47,500. Now we look at stacks. We know stacking in a main slate, but how do they break down for a Thursday night game or a single game? 4-2 stack have won it 44% of the time. 3-3 stacks 36% of the time, and a 5-1 stack only 21% of the time. So stacking is crucial. It will really just depend on the game, and hopefully this is not an ugly game where it's only kicker game or a very low defensive game here. Now we look at captain percentages. Captain percentages are key, captain or MVP, but the data is for DraftKings. 39% of the time, your captain spot has a winning lineup, has been a wide receiver. So, kind of just looking at your captain spots here. Pickens, Judy, Tillman, Moore. These are the ones. Probably Pickens is going to be the most used guy as your captain spot, which I completely understand. 28% of the time it's been a running back, so a Najee Harris, Nick Chubb type. Go down a little bit, Jalen Warren, you could look at those. 17% of the time it's been a quarterback. So we know Jameis is going to throw it up there. We know he's probably going to get intercepted too. So I honestly don't mind the Pittsburgh defense as a captain spot either. Jameis is going to throw a ton, but I think Russell Wilson's the more safer of the quarterback, but the weather will play a factor. 7% of the time it's been a tight end, so a Freiermuth I would definitely look at for sure, or David Njoku. 7% of the time a defense, I would rather take the Pittsburgh defense. And then only 2% of the time it's been a kicker. Now, we've seen kicker games in these showdowns, but the weather scares me a little bit. Maybe it'll move throughout the day, but it's not looking good for kickoff. So that is the breakdown of the overall. Now, You guys are here. We're going to build some lineups. So we're always looking for a different way to build lineups, especially on DraftKings or FanDuel. Whether or not you want to go with a captain spot being a wide receiver, we can definitely look at that here. But the way these are out and looking at the weather, I still think we got to get a kicker in there. It scares me a little bit, but I think that might be the way to go. So kind of just looking. So if you wanted to do Pickens, obviously Pickens, if he's going to have a big game, I think Russell Wilson has a big game. The correlation is pretty big there. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So you got Russell Wilson to Pickens. Now we're only averaging 5,800 the rest of the way. Might get a little bit dicey. We could definitely look at that. For whatever reason, Freiermuth is 3,600. I like that matchup for him. So I've got 3 Pittsburgh right here. I think that makes sense. So if you look at that, you're at 6,600 the rest of the way. Now your kickers are under that. You could look at that. The Steelers defense I do like. So now we're at 7,200. You have to have a couple of Cleveland guys. That's just how it has to happen. So if you want to look at some Cleveland, whether or not it's Elijah Moore, yet last week had a touchdown, 66 yards, 8 targets. He's been targeted a ton, 29 times his last 3 games, 36 times his last 4 games. Now, I think I got Elijah Moore in there. Now we're at 8,000. So whether or not you want to go with a Pittsburgh guy, Jaylen Warren, whether or not you want to go with Cleveland to make it a 4-2 stack, I'm okay with that as well. So you could go Njoku, you could go Tillman. I think I'm going to go Njoku here. So this is one lineup. We left 500 on the table, so 49.5 is what we used. Pickens with Wilson. Wilson throwing it to Freiermuth as well. We got the Steelers defense because I still think they could get 1 or 2 picks, if not fumble recoveries. I like this lineup here. So that is with Pickens as your captain spot. But now let's look at a possibility of a running back being 28% of the time in the winning lineup. You could look at that for running back situation. So let's look at Najee. So Najee makes sense. So Najee here at 13.8, you do save some money. Obviously, in my mind, it is 100% going to be Pittsburgh, but Cleveland might surprise us because of the weather. So let's put in Winston in here. Let's see what we could do with Winston. Let's get both the running backs here for them. So I'm looking at Jaylen Warren as well. We're at 6,800 there. Jameis Winston has to throw at somebody. Why not Njoku? A dump off passes could be key there as well. 6,400 the rest of the way. So you could go Elijah Moore, you could go Tillman, you could go Judy, you could go Chubb. Chubb, if you put Chubb in there, then we're down to 3,800, which that gives us Freiermuth. So you could look at a 3-3 stack, Winston thrown to Njoku, and maybe handing off to Chubb or dumping passes off to Chubb. You got Freiermuth in there, you got Najee Harris, and you have Jaylen Warren in there. Cleveland, their run defense is pretty good. These both defenses are good, but it's going to get a little bit crazy in this situation. The weather's what I'm a little bit weary of. So I forgot I put that in a free thing, so give me a second. I can have both of those lineups in here. And then we'll do one more lineup. We'll do 3 lineups for each website. See if that is what we're kind of looking for when we build here. So, Najee out of the way. Let's say, for instance, let's get a little crazy. Let's do Jameis Winston as your captain spot. So Winston at 14.4. I think he throws it to Harris. Or I think he throws it to Njoku, sorry. We can throw it to David Njoku. We're at 7,000. I think you can get Warren in here as well. We're at 7,200 with 3 spots available. I still think even if Winston has, let's say he has 5 touchdowns. Say he has 3 interceptions as well. Steelers get those points for the interceptions. It's I think you got to get creative in a slate like this. So I think he still throws it to Tillman too. And now we're at 9,400. So Najee Harris makes sense. You got Nick Chubb. I'm probably going Najee here. So we've left 200 on the table. We've got Winston as our captain. We've got Njoku, Warren, or Njoku and Tillman. And then our Steelers are Warren, Steelers defense, and Najee Harris there. So that's DraftKings out of the way. Let's check out FanDuel. Now, pricing's a little bit different because we only have one spot. Or one spot less, I should say. So it could really go anywhere, but I think Najee goes to the top here. I think Russell Wilson throws it to Najee. I think we got to get Pickens in there. So there's our Pittsburgh guys. Let's go Elijah Moore. Now we're at 10,000. I mean, you could go Chris Boswell, kicker. You go Steelers defense. You go Mike Williams. You go Jalen Warren. The kickers, you could go Dustin Hopkins. You go either kicker there at that price. But let's say we do Steelers defense. So that's 4-1 right there. Pittsburgh with Elijah Moore being your only Cleveland guy. So now let's build another one with a different build. Looking at MVP, let's say, for instance, Nick Chubb's your MVP. So we didn't really talk about Nick Chubb on DraftKings for an MVP spot. But let's say we put Chubb in there. We have Jameis throwing to him or dumping off passes or handing it off. I think we go Njoku here. Let's go a little crazy. Let's say Russell Wilson has a bad game and we do Cleveland defense. Now we're at 12-5. We can go Najee. We can go Jerry Jeudy. We can go Tillman. But we can't. We have to go Pittsburgh. So Najee would be the only one here. So this is a 4-1 stack with Cleveland being the dominant stack in that situation. Now, again, depending on the game log is going to go, the game script, weather, and a low over-under doesn't make this. This could be one of the worst Thursday Night Football games we've seen all year, which kind of sucks, but it's a thing. So let's go Russell Wilson as your captain. It's the highest exposed guy. He's 15-5. I think he throws it to Pickens. I think he goes to Najee. I think we could go down and go Elijah Moore at 9,000. Now we've got 10,000 left. Whether or not you want to go Boswell, I don't know about kickers. Go Steelers defense. You could go Steelers defense. You could go Mike Williams in that situation. If we do that, we've got one Cleveland guy being Elijah Moore, and then Pittsburgh being 4 of the 5 players there. So that's FanDuel. A little bit different, obviously, the way you build your lineups there. Things are different. Yahoo's new to us. We don't play it much, but you guys have been asking for it. And if you look, this is what's crazy. Because as you can see, the other 2 sites had Russell Wilson or some form of Pittsburgh being the highest priced guy. Yahoo has Jameis Winston at $30, where Russell Wilson's $26. For whatever reason, I don't know. But let's look at Najee Harris being the superstar here. And now we got 4. I think Nick Chubb could make his way into here, which Nick Chubb is down here at $19. Make it make sense, Yahoo. I don't know. We still get Russell Wilson in here. I think we get there. Now we're at 2 flex spots. I think we can get Jalen Warren in here because I think he could vulture a touchdown or 2 at 15. Now we're at 35. We were at 3,500. Or $35, sorry. So we can have anybody at all here at $35, which makes sense. Jameis Winston. Winston, you could look at him. Pickens. You got Pickens there. And Chubb is the only Pittsburgh guy. That's one lineup. So that contest is full because I can't do another contest. I can't play paid contests, which is annoying. It's very annoying. So let's go just this game free so we can enter this one. And I did forget to mention at the end of this video, we are going to build a same game parlay on DraftKings. Okay, so let's put our superstar. Let's say it's Russell Wilson because he's not the highest priced quarterback for whatever reason. Russell Wilson. I think Warren makes sense. I think we can look at Jeudy, who we really haven't talked about today. We got Winston throwing to them. And then we have $27. So we can go anywhere. We could go Pickens. We could go Najee Harris. We could go Tillman. I'm going to go Pickens in this one. So we have 2 Cleveland. We got Winston throwing to Jeudy. We have Wilson throwing to Warren or handing it off. And then he's throwing it to George Pickens as well. So enter that lineup in there as well. Those are the 2 lineups that we could look at. Now, those are some different ways to build here on whether or not you played Yahoo, DraftKings, or FanDuel. I do have a parlay that I want to look at. So this is way to build it. So we're going to use Outlier here. And again, if you want to sign up to FanDuel or DraftKings Sportsbooks, the links will be down below. Definitely check those links down below, because if you have not signed up, you will get some free money just for signing up. So we'll look at the props. I am looking at George Pickens. I am going to look at his receiving yards. So we can look at George Pickens, go into here, apply that. Receiving yards, 49.5. I'm going to alt it down, I think. I'm going to go over 39.5. I want 40-plus yards because the weather does scare me a little bit. And you can see his last 5 games, he's 100% of the time. You can even break it down into passing plays, receptions, targets. You can do pass versus run. Like, there's just so much information all into one website, outlier.bet, which I absolutely love. So we're going to add this to my picks, and it's going to take it out to add to picks. We're going to go to another one. I think Pickens scores a touchdown. So I'm going to go Pickens for touchdown. I'm going to go over 1. Add that to my picks. Okay. I think Nick Chubb scores a touchdown as well. So I'm going to take Nick Chubb. So it's going to be a 4-leg parlay, but it's going to be 2-player 4-leg. So Nick Chubb for a touchdown. And you can go in, but you can look at the props and you can go touchdown for over for on DraftKings plus 145, FanDuel 155. So you do get better odds on FanDuel, depending if that's where you play. Then we go back, Nick Chubb, and I'm going to do rushing yards. So look at that. So the over-under is 52.5. I think I'm going to alt it down to 40, so over 39.5, just like we did. Add that to my picks. Go into here. You can see 404. You can do it on DraftKings. You can change your book up. You go FanDuel, 404, ESPN Bet. You can't do Caesars. You can. So what I love is you can add it to your bet slip. It's going to take us out to DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm going to pause the video and log in because I think it's going to kick me out. Yes, so I'm going to pause it, log in. I'll be right back. So we can look at this. It's got a plus 750 for these picks. There is a Thursday Night Football bonus, at least on DraftKings, that you can. So it's at 750. If you do the Thursday Night Football, it's a max wager of 25, or it might be a little bit different for you. That puts us up to $825, $25 to win $231. Okay? That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this bet here. That's one of my bets for tonight. So Pickens and Chubb to score a touchdown. Pickens for 40-plus receiving yards. Chubb for 40-plus rushing yards. Take the boost. And I think it's like 880 odds or something like that on FanDuel. I think it's a little bit different that you can check those out. So that might be a little bit different. So we'll log in there. I'll do that. Now, I'll check the odds. So let's change the sportsbook to FanDuel. Now let's go out to FanDuel. And I think I have to log in again. So I'm going to pause it. And then, yeah. So I'm going to pause it. I'll be right back, and we can see the odds on this one. Okay, so the 4-game parlay is $852 there. $25 to win $213. So I don't play on FanDuel Sportsbook, but you can. The odds are $852 there. So they're a little bit better on FanDuel. So that's why you want to check different books, and that is why we love Outlier, because it shows us the different books and the different odds for the different bets, which that's where you can find some money. So if you have any questions, whether or not you're playing Thursday Night Football, whether or not you're playing FanDuel, DraftKings, sports betting, or DFS, make sure you check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. Hopefully you guys have success. Good luck, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.